computer and it's recording and we're here. And this is the sixth episode now? Sixth episode, but I think how many different guests have been on? We got Anurag, Adeker, Chris, Noah, and now you. Jason was on, but he was on with that whole crazy one. And
Yeah.
I like to do it individually. Because I like everyone to get their own little spotlight. So you're the fifth new guest on here. I'm very happy to have you. First of all, how have you been, man? How are you doing?
Not bad, man. Just city living in quarantine and in a pandemic. Um, slowly stuff is starting to open up. Stuff is, progressing in the right direction, but we're still going through, struggles and still going through things that
Yeah.
I wouldn't have expected to happen once I moved here. It's just things that's just how life is now, double masking and all this stuff. Like, man, it's
I
crazy
so
world.
so as you know, I live in Arizona. I don't think one person has done a double mask. I don't know if that's been popular in New York on the East Coast. I know the Northeast, that whole region, like is more fair. Like they have a more strict view on COVID and stuff like that. Out
Yeah.
here, I've not seen one person. I think once Fauci suggested it, while valid and while like should be done, like I just think people are so sick of this virus that like they're like double mask. Like a lot of people are rolling their eyes. I actually personally, I've done it like once or twice.
Mhm.
It feels a little weird, but I have not seen one person double mask. I don't know. Have you seen people double mask?
I actually have. We
Okay,
have my girlfriend here.
lovely, of
She's a
course.
proud double masker. So,
Okay,
but no, whatever. I have two masks, but they're both the same. So they're both the same type of mask. And I think the
okay.
best way to do a double mask is obviously one cloth mask you could have on the outside and then an
Hmm.
actual like protective mask on the inside. Um, I masks are obviously, you go for it.
Yeah,
They've been definitely helping me out during the cold and during all that.
yeah.
That's been a very hidden positive about masks. And I just don't see myself taking them off for a long time.
Yeah,
So
I'm wondering if they're I'm wondering, that's funny you'll see on Twitter like once COVID ends sounds more like this and that, but actually once this pandemic subsides, I guess I'll phrase it like that. I wonder if masks are gonna stay around, like if people are gonna like keep wearing them forever. Like I'm just wondering what the effects of this pandemic are gonna stay once the pandemic is over, subsides,
yeah,
it's not as big of a deal. Like whether it's the remote work, whether it's the mask, whether it's like I don't know. It's weird. I don't think we really know the long-term effects of this pandemic, including staying inside so much. I stay inside. The only place I go, honestly, is the gym. It's the only place I need it for like my mental sanity. If I don't go to the gym, I start losing it.
hmm
Um, so that's the only place I really go. But I really don't eat out, no bars, obviously no clubs. I'm just wondering long term what's that been doing to people? Because for me, like it can be really hard at times, like being inside for this long.
yeah, no, like yeah, I know it's been like, what is it now? Over a year, like way almost over a year at this point when
Yeah.
like the first like lockdown happened and all that.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
I think like that first couple of months, like we were just like, a 2 month, it's gonna be a 2 month thing, and
Hmm.
we'll be out by summer, we'll be doing all these things, and I think it obviously didn't hit until like what, okay, like September when we actually started having like fall classes
Hmm.
again. That it was just like we're gonna do this again, and then it's gonna
I
go with the spring, and it's kept pushing back and stuff, and you know,
so
just
it was crazy when I first came to Arizona. I've never been to Arizona before in my life, and then I stayed with Blake and Blake's family, who were tremendous hosts. And I remember my old roommate, he was like, or not my old roommate, Anthony, he was like the last person that I knew that was in New York, like in downtown Manhattan. And he's like, what do I do with your stuff? And I'm like, oh, don't worry. Like, I'll be back to go get it. So when April like first hit, ironically as a
yeah,
April Fool's,
yeah,
but it wasn't funny. NYU was like, yo, you need to get your stuff out of there. And I'm like, I can't fly. Like, I have no, like, when it was April 1st, 2020, no one knew what the hell was going on.
Yeah, no.
And so I had two members of the league who have been on this podcast, Anurag Adhikar and Anthony. They all helped ship my stuff out to Arizona. But I had the same feeling you did. I really thought I was gonna be back in May. Like, how fool, I guess how, like, for us who did think like that, it was a little foolish. Like, I don't know if it's foolish or not. Like, I don't know how to phrase it without sounding negative, but it was, I don't know, maybe like fool's gold, too optimistic. Because if I don't know much about pandemics, but you referenced the Spanish flu and other ones, like they don't last 2-3 months. You know what I mean? Even
No, yeah.
Ebola, which wasn't really a pandemic, didn't last 2-3 months. So I can't believe it's been almost a year. Like March 2020, like the anniversary of like Zoom University and everyone leaving and going their own separate ways and trying to navigate life has been so
Yeah.
crazy.
No, I remember, I know you were there, and Chris was also there. Our first How Basketball Can Save the World
Yeah,
Zoom
yeah.
session. Like that was like that feels like it was like 5 years ago at this point, but
Hmm.
it just feels like so much has happened, and you know, like that was really like the start of all of it, and it's just like so weird. We're still
it's
here,
it's
and we'll figure. I don't know.
it's so funny you mentioned that because I think the picture that me, you, and Chris, it's funny you bring up those three people, me, you, and Chris, the picture you and us three have with Nick Collison, I think is almost a year old in like a week.
I
And
saw
I
that.
was
Yeah.
I was talking with Chris. I was FaceTiming Chris. The way Chris and I talk is we won't talk for like 3 weeks a month, but then we'll talk for like 4 hours on one call. Like that's how Chris and I communicate.
Mhm.
And we were talking about
Gotcha.
that class. And he's also
Mhm.
said like it's felt like 5 years, but it's also felt like 5 minutes. Like that just like time has been warped in COVID. Like things move. So, look at that.
There we go. That
Look
was
at
when was
me.
that? February
February
19th.
19th. And what's today? The 13th. So that's almost a year ago. Look at us. We had no idea what was coming.
Yeah,
A
a
week
week
in
until it's a year. Like,
it, it boggles my mind. It makes me like it makes me grateful for those friendships that I have with like you, Chris, and everyone in the league and stuff like that. But it does hit me like wow, like it's been a year since I see you guys. Like the only time I've gone seen not seeing a dear friend, like I was like co-friends back in Utah, but like well, I didn't see Anurag for a year, but he was studying abroad. He was living his best life. You know what
yeah,
I mean? I
Madrid.
didn't we didn't see Anurag for a year. Yeah, he was in Madrid and Sydney and stuff. But like I just moved to Arizona on a whim. Like it's crazy and it's hard to comprehend. But
Got
but at this point, I'm just happy that everyone I know is like alive and healthy. And if anyone that I've known has gotten it has gone through it and is, okay now. Like at this point, I think there was a stat I read that 10% of the state of Arizona, like the whole state population, has either had it or has it. And it's like now it's a 1 in 10 chance someone that you know what I mean? Like at this point, if you don't have it
Yeah.
or you haven't been affected by it physically, like thank God, that's how I look at it.
Mhm. Gotcha. Yeah, that's so crazy.
It
Um, let's transition into I see that jacket you're wearing. And I think
yeah, I wore it with a purpose. It's obviously, the team's 17-1. Ever since Austin, your team's the Knicks. You're one of the most diehard Knicks fans I've ever met. Ever since Austin
gotta
Rivers
be.
thrashed us in the Garden. Which by the way, I also thought of you because one of our first, I don't know, moments as friends was we went to a Jazz Knicks game together. Was it my first time in the Garden?
Yeah, I think you
I
told me it was.
I
Yeah,
think I
because you,
told
you
you it
really
was.
wanted that picture outside of it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It was my first time. That my first time at Square Garden was with you watching Jazz Knicks and Tim Hardaway hit that game winner. Very sad. I think the score was like 10, 104, 101, 106. Like very close game. It was a
Yeah,
great
yeah,
game.
yeah.
It was a great game.
Like we've been robbed of like I don't remember a bad Jazz Knicks game. I mean,
No.
the one
Oh,
no, actually the one right before everything happened was not fun.
yeah, that one was not fun. It
We
was
had
actually, yeah,
we had my
yeah.
boy Georges Niang out here looking like
It's
prime.
it is George, but people like to make fun say George. It's actually funny. The one I went with you was by far the best one the first time around, because so there was three Jazz Knicks games because I was in college for 3 years. The one where I went to when it was just me and Noah, it was just me and Noah. I don't know what. Yeah, but it was just me and Noah. And the biggest highlight, the game was over by the first quarter. You can ask Noah. Like the game was over. Like the Jazz were destroying the Knicks. But James Dolan almost hit me with his car. True story. So he had this huge ass cart, like vape, with him, and his driver was this close. And Noah was so upset that I didn't flop, do something, because it's James. I don't even know how that legally worked. Like who'd be liable, like the driver or the owner of the car. Like I don't know how that works. But Noah was furious that I didn't flop because he yells at me like that was James Dolan's car, and I turn around and I'm like, that's James Dolan's car. Like almost whacked my kneecaps. But um in regards to wearing the jacket, they are 17-1, the best team in basketball, and it makes me incredibly happy. So, of course.
Like we got Austin Rivers, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's gone off both times so far against the Jazz.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't had a single good game apart from that. So we've just mentioned him as just, the Jazz killer, and that's it. That's the only
That's
reason he's still on the team. Um,
well. To be fair, it was the Jazz Knicks game this season where the Jazz were in New York. He destroyed the Jazz, and then the time where the Knicks were in Utah, he destroyed him in the first half. He had like what, like 20, 25 points in the first half, and then he cooled off.
right.
We like made a concerted
He
effort
didn't.
to
No,
start.
no, no. I want this to be clear. He did not cool off. I believe he got about 5 minutes of game time after the
Okay.
half.
Okay.
So that's been a big issue as a Knicks fan this year. Is we got a coach, obviously, Tom
We
Thibodeau.
do.
He can teach a defense. He
He
can put
can.
us in the top 10 for that. But my man's rotations are sus. And I know Noah Landau has been a little supporter of a certain Elfrid Payton. But look, let me tell you, this man is garbage. I'm just gonna come out and say it. Like, I don't know what Tom said. Like, I understand defense and I understand all that, like Reggie Bullock, but like we're doing, like, how we got Derrick Rose on the team now, and I
Yes.
was a little suspect about it, because I thought we'd have to give up one of our young players, because Derrick Rose
Mm-hmm.
is still he's still good. He's not
Yeah.
obviously no MVP, but as a bench player, like he'll come in there, he'll score 14, 16.
Yeah.
That's what we've been missing. And like last night, we were versing what were we versing? The worst
The
team, the
Wizards.
Wizards. The Wizards, yes, sir. Um, we scored what 31 combined from Emmanuel Quickly and Derrick Rose,
Yeah.
and I think Elfrid Payton shot a solid 2 for 8. Um, And no matter what, I don't know what has been happening to my MSG broadcast, but no matter how bad Elfrid Payton is playing, all I hear is support for Elfrid Payton by Clyde Frazier. Like
Well,
I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I'm not going to judge the man for what's going on, but the support is getting out of hand. I need it to stop. So
I'll say two things. One, Alfred Payton's hair, I think, deserves a lot of support. Always has and always will. And two, when it comes to Alfred Payton, my favorite thing is he'll get his yearly 10, 10, and 10 triple double, like 11, 10, 10, or 12, 10, 11 triple double. But I I think the Knicks are good. Julius Randle is an all-star. I was funny. I think
he's
Atticus showed me a picture of like his Zoom class, and like half the Zoom class was just saying that Julius Randle is an all-star.
I saw that. Yeah.
I believe that. I think the Knicks are good. I like the Knicks.
Problem is, all right, so we're in the brink of playoffs. But the teams below us, so we got the Heat and the Raptors, I think are the top two teams that like I'm kind of worried about, because they've
Mm-hmm,
started off slow and they're, what, like 2 or 3 games behind us, but
mm-hmm.
like at some point I think they're gonna catch up. And
Yeah.
I don't know if the Knicks are gonna necessarily, because they were all young and we haven't had the playoff experience and all that. Like we're
Mm-hmm.
by February every year, we're already talking about the draft. We're already like we're gone. But right now it's a different feeling, and I just want a playoff game. Like I just want a playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just I don't care playing. I don't care if we got to get smacked by the Bucks 4-0. Like just we got to start somewhere.
Yeah. And that's where I feel
How
like
the
the
Nets
Knicks. Yeah.
the Nets
No.
2 years ago. What was it? 2 or 3 years ago when they just sneaked into the playoffs with the Angelo Russell and D'Angelo Russell, Jared Allen, that team,
Yeah.
Jared Dudley, Hall of Famer. Um, ever since like what top three team in the league, like
Hmm.
we just need to get there, and I think from there we'll be all right.
You know, I agree with you. First of all, quick side note, I miss those sirens, those New York sirens, as weird as that
Oh
sounds.
yeah, baby.
I love that. That to me like
That's how you know.
exemplifies New
Yeah,
York. Exactly. One. Two, I would want to say that I think Knicks fans are some of the most just genuinely loyal fans and they deserve something nice. I really do. So I always root like I'm a diehard Jazz fan, but I always root for the Knicks. I think Knicks fans are some of the most genuine diehard. I mean, it's still one of the most valuable franchises in the world for all
it,
sports. And you know, I want to see them do well. It really makes me upset. Like, you're a Knicks, Jets, Mets fan. Like, that bothers me. Like, those teams are in the biggest market in the world, and they're not good. Like, it really, really bothers me. So I hope the Knicks do well. I want the Knicks to do well. Um, and we'll see. Mitchell Robinson just got hurt, if I'm not mistaken, right? He had
that's
like a
how. Yeah,
leg.
4 to 6 weeks for a fractured hand. He couldn't. He had 14 rebounds in the first half of yesterday's game.
Hmm.
He was on track to get 28 rebounds a game, 28 rebounds, and of course, second half we got the news that fractured his hand, out 4 to 6 weeks.
He said on pace to get 28 rebounds. I really dislike the on pace stat, and the reason I hate that stat is because, so as you know, I enjoy to gamble. I've stopped recently, but I enjoy gambling. Like when you need a player to get certain amount of points or a certain amount of rebounds or not get a certain amount of points or rebounds, pace doesn't matter. Like I remember I took Bradley Beal's points one time. They were at 32 and a half, and he
Mhm.
had 17 going into the fourth. So I thought the bet was washed. And this was the Trailblazer game, the crazy, or was it the Trailblazer game? No, this was the Nets game, the crazy Nets game where they had two
Yeah.
threes in like a second and a half.
Hmm.
So he had
Yeah.
17 going into the fourth, then puts up like a 20-point fourth quarter. So like the on pace thing has always bothered me while I watch sports.
Sure.
But what can you
Yeah,
do?
we take
Some
what we can get as Knicks fans. Um, just how it is. All right, let's talk to football. You
you
know,
want to talk to
th-
football?
there's
Listen.
there's one topic I think that's close to both of us.
Okay.
Apart from the fantasy league, obviously, I think we'll get to that last. Just as
Yeah.
a summary or not a summary, but a preview for next season potentially. But this Deshaun Watson news, I need to hurry up. Um,
I
there's a lot of there's just so many quarterback like trade potential stuff
yeah.
going on that like something's got to happen to get a
I
move on.
I hope if he doesn't, the fact that he's interested in the 49ers makes me incredibly happy. But as like I said, like moving to New York and meeting so many New Yorkers and people from the New York metropolitan. I root for New York. Like I want New York teams to do well. Um, I
Yeah,
want I want the Jets to get this guy. If he's not, I just worry that outside of Becton, outside of oh my goodness, like
come on, you got this. We got Denzel Mims. Come on, I got Denzel Mims. Um, Quinn Williams is a stud. I don't want to be told otherwise. We got a few young corners. We're still missing a cornerback
that
one.
doesn't help
I
on
think we
offense
hopefully
necessarily.
offense.
Doesn't
Well,
necessarily.
offense. You see, we got a new coach, got a new system.
Yeah, I'm heard
As
about
a
that.
49ers fan,
Congratulations.
I'm
Hmm.
gonna have to inform you that I think half of your roster will be wearing green next season. Um, Richard Sherman will come to MetLife.
I
Um,
don't know about that.
Kerry Hyder, big on the Kerry Hyder. Definitely gonna be a New York Jet. Um, and some other people. Yo, Kyle Juszczyk.
The
Get
Harvard
ready
man.
for him and get ready for him in green. Um, I think. Look, it cannot be worse than the Adam Gase Dell games.
Yeah.
And I think we're an up and coming team.
Hmm.
I mean, hopefully we're all on the same page here. We got the Dolphins who are, they're committed to Tua. They got a defense. They got a running back, Miles Gaskin. We got Blake Judge high on the Miles Gaskin train. But
Of course.
I think it all comes down to quarterback, which is why I'm scared. If Deshaun Watson's traded there, um, the New York Jets will not have a lot of wins for a long time. The Bills, the Bills found a way to make Josh Allen not look like a fullback, which is scary because
Wow.
like that's impressive. I don't know how Brian Daboll did not get a job as a head coach. Um, but the Patriots are not, they're nothing. They're nothing.
I agree.
There's
I
one that led them for 15 years and he's gone now. So we cannot finish fourth anymore.
I first of all, the one thing I've always been upset with fans of New York metropolitan sports teams is the delusion can be incredibly high, and that's because y'all have suffered for so long, so I can empathize why you guys can be so delusional. Not saying you're delusional there in this instance. I'm just saying in general.
Uh-huh.
Um, so with that being said, I think the Jets can't do much worse than what just happened, right? I mean, it was an abomination to sport in general. So I think I never thought Sam Darnold was the problem. I continue to think Sam Darnold isn't the problem. But however, I get worried because I watch. So not transitioning to fantasy yet, but I had Deshaun Watson and David Johnson on my fantasy team. So I watched just as much Texans football as I did 49ers football, which is my favorite team.
Hmm.
Deshaun Watson, when you don't have an O line, don't have a running game, and don't have many people to throw to, doesn't matter how great he is. And sometimes Deshaun Watson bothers me, like with the way he doesn't throw the ball away and stuff like that. So that does bother
Yeah.
me while watching him. So I look at the parallels to the Jets, and the running game is Tyler Johnson, if I'm not mistaken, which I mean, we don't
Not
know.
correct.
No,
Correction. His name is Ty Johnson. There's no
Ty
Ty.
Johnson, not
Ty
Tyler
Johnson.
Johnson. Sorry, Ty Johnson. Um, I don't think Frank Gore is good. Frank Gore might be back. He might not. But either way, that running game is not great. You
I
said
think Frank
Denzel
Gore.
Mims
I think
and
Frank Gore was connected with Adam Gase, so I don't expect to see him back here.
okay.
He voiced his frustration with being on a terrible team, so
Yeah.
I think he'll be gone. I don't know where he's going. He might go back to San Francisco. You
I would
guys.
love him to go back to
There's
San
a lot of
Francisco.
Jerick McKinnon. I think he said he's not coming back, so I don't know. You guys got two running backs right now,
Hmm.
or maybe three. Three you still have.
Jeff
Still have.
Wilson Jr.,
You still have Jeff Wilson, Tevin Coleman, and
Raheem.
Raheem Mostert. So your guys are fine. He might just come there for a Super Bowl or something.
Yeah.
Um, Look, Joe Douglas, he's been a little sus sometimes, but most times I want some praise on Joe Douglas's name.
Okay.
He traded a linebacker who doesn't know how to cover for two first round picks. He drafted Mekhi Becton, who I
Who's
think,
great.
yeah, like Andrew Thomas was drafted fourth, didn't do it nearly as well.
Mm-mm.
Mekhi Becton, there was a little concern coming out of college, but I think he's definitely going to be fine. A couple injury
Yeah.
concerns, but like he looks like an absolute mauler. Denzel Mims has definitely shown potential, and I wanted to be known that he was supposed to be a first round pick. Um, we were about to draft him in the second round, and then we traded back, which made us all think that we were not going to draft him, and then teams just kept passing on him. So I was really excited about that. Um, and Quinton Williams is still there on defense, so I think he's an anchor type of player. Nowhere near like Aaron Donald, but you need that. I think you need the D tackle to solidify defense. So
Hmm.
we got a lot of cap space, so much cap space, and I just want us to use it for once. Joe Thuney, that's a name to look out for.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think Allen Robinson is. He's been liking a lot of stuff, just like Deshaun Watson. A lot of like
Yeah.
speculation and stuff, but I won't hold my hopes out for that one. An under the radar player I want is Curtis Samuel. I think in
He's
a
very good.
Mike LaFleur offense, I think Debo Samuel, Curtis Samuel. I think they're the prototypical LaFleur type of receiver. So I want that. Um, and then I want the draft. And the draft can go so many different ways. I don't know if this is a hot take. I just do not want us to draft a receiver at two.
Okay. Yeah.
Devontae Smith, he's going to be good. He's going to be great. If put in the right offense,
Yeah.
if not used incorrectly. I just don't. I don't think that's where we go. And again, you said Sam Darnold isn't the issue. I agree in a way. The issue comes with the fact that we drafted him 2 years ago, 3 years ago,
Yeah.
um, and we're kind of we gave him a shot. I know it's been obviously an Adam Gase offense, and he could
Yeah.
do the best, but um, I think the way the franchise is going, we have to draft a quarterback, or obviously, still holding out hope for Deshaun Watson. I
Yeah,
think that's the
yeah.
only other option apart from drafting one is Deshaun Watson.
I want to ask you, um, you're one of the most devoted Jets fans I know, and like New York sports fans in general, I know. But it's so interesting to me. I want other people to hear this that some people, if they didn't know, they'll know now that you were actually not born in the United States. You were born in Russia. You also lived in Spain. So you spent a good portion of your life, not even the United States, let alone New York. What makes you like so passionate about the Jets, so passionate about the Knicks? Because like for me, I just picked the San Francisco Giants, for example, because I was born there and there's no baseball team in Utah. So I'm like, but like you weren't even, in America for a good portion of your life, and you're set like what made you so devoted to the Jets, and what keeps you going, and that's regardless of not being from the United States, but like what keeps you going as a Knicks, Jets, Mets fan?
All right. Well, let's see. So, um, the very first time I came to the United States, so we've lived in the same house in Jersey, the whole time ever since I've been here, and we just literally had in our living room one TV set up, and we came here in 2011, so early 2011, like right before Christmas and all that, or right after Christmas. I remember the first thing we put on, or I put on, because I was in charge of the television, was ESPN, and this was week 17 of the 2011 season. And I remember this is when obviously the greatest football team to ever be assembled, the New York Jets, um, in the wild card round. They just moved on to the playoffs and they were set up to face the Patriots. Um, and it was very cold in New England at that time. So I remember just talking to my dad and I was just like, there's a New York team. Like obviously we're not from Jersey. We're from Jersey, but the team plays in MetLife. So
Yeah.
like I want to go to this. I know it's gonna be cold, but I just want to go there and see what happens. Like, you know, I know it's gonna be a lot of Patriots fans, but we're gonna go there, root for the Jets. We don't care. Like we didn't know like what that meant at the time. Like being a Jets fan going to a Patriots game in the playoffs. Like we were just like, let's go. And the greatest miracle since the Miracle on Ice happened. David Harris picks off Tom Brady, and it just didn't stop from there. Like just
First of
living in
all,
that moment.
yeah, yeah.
So like it was like 10 degrees, and half the game, I'll be honest, I watched half the game from the bathroom. They had TVs set up in the bathroom. And it was just so many like disappointed Patriots fans. And like at that moment I knew that like I want to keep seeing this forever. Like I want to see sad Patriots fans. And the way to do that is just keep mindlessly supporting the Jets. Um,
I do have a
that's it.
couple questions to that. I have to ask a couple questions to that. One, why were you in the bathroom half the time? I'm a little nervous for that. Two, did you understand like coming from Spain, right? Because that was where you moved from to Spain. Did you
Mhm.
understand like the rules of like did you pick it up super quickly and just get it? And then three, what made you pick the Jets and the Mets and the Knicks over like the Giants and the Yankees? Like just those three
Um,
things.
got it. So the bathroom, the only place that we knew of that had heating. It was quite warm in there, and we bought like the hand warmer thingies.
Yeah.
So we didn't know how to put them on at first or like how to use them. And then once we put them on in the bathroom, I was just like, I don't really want to go back out there. Um, I'll be honest, I didn't understand every single rule of football, like penalties and all that. Like, no, like, but I understood like if a team threw the ball to the other team, like that's good, or so seeing that was really cool. And then whenever I heard booze, that usually meant something good. So that was pretty much the experience, but like just the whole like leaving the stadium and hearing Bart Scott, that interview. I remember being there and just everybody booing the man and saying some bad words that won't be spoken on here, but like that was like that's when I knew it. And the Mets, I think so the Knicks were the next team that I like really got into. This was obviously like during the I guess the last good time of the Knicks. Steve Novak, Landry Fields,
Right.
um, Jordan Hill was a little bit after, but Pablo Prigioni and Sasha Vujacic,
Hmm.
like that's some good New York basketball right there. Sasha Vujacic, like I just I know you have as a Jazz fan, I hope your favorite player is Andre Kirilenko. Because that man, like back when I was in Russia or back when I was in Spain, like he was probably like apart from Kobe and apart from LeBron at the time, like I think he was the most popular athlete. Honestly, like I just remember like
Okay.
waiting on Sports Center, just I just waited for an Andre Kirilenko highlight to pop up.
Hmm.
So I've had this like I guess connection to European players ever since.
Yeah.
Porzingis is we don't talk about him, but
Okay.
I was for a while that was one of my favorite players. And I wanted him to be good, but stuff happened, and he's out there averaging
We
10 points
we
a
went
game.
to his last game, his last Knicks game. We went to the game he got hurt against the Bucks. Was that not his last Knicks game?
That was the
And we
same
were
game
there.
that was the same game that Giannis jumped over Tim Hardaway,
Yeah.
just straight up jumped
John
over him.
McEnroe was at that game. It
Yeah,
was a
and
great game.
well,
I
I
mean,
mean, great. Well, no, not
as
great, but
more new, I wanted the Knicks to win, but seeing Giannis jump over another human being, that was like a whole SBS. You have very funny
yeah,
footage from that. But no, I also want to follow up real quick. Was the Jets in a way your introduction to like American culture? As you know, Sunday is Sunday in fall. You might as well put football as a religious holiday for many Americans. So like would you consider football to be one of your introductions into American culture?
yeah. I didn't. So like, obviously, the whole like Sunday ticket and the whole like not doing anything on Sunday thing didn't really come
Hmm.
about until probably like sophomore, junior year of high school. Because
Okay.
when that would happen, I got a group of friends and we started going out to a bar and just sat there literally like we got a table at 12:55 and
Hmm.
we ordered food until 5 o'clock.
Nice.
But until then, like I didn't really, I guess, get the culture of like a fun football Sunday.
Hmm.
Uh, but I was still like, enamored by it, and I was just like, going to school. Like the first time I went to middle school here. I saw
Okay.
jerseys and like I knew how big of a thing it was. And I wanted to be a part of that. Sports have been a part
Okay.
of my life for literally my whole life. So
Hmm.
I wanted to be a part of it in a way where, I'd still be able to show my personality, being delusional, you could say in a way, but like that was just, that's what I decided to go for. And I think it's been really fun ever since. And I've shown it off in our league and I've shown it off in a lot of different ways. Let's just say that.
You
But
do have a lot of personality, man. I make fun of you because you are Russian, and sometimes you like epitomize, your Russian heritage. Like you can be very quiet and sometimes a little aloof, but I think you have so much personality, and like I love when it shows when I go to sporting events with you when we watch football together, and I miss that that's one of the biggest things. I think I said on Twitter, like one of the biggest things I miss is just going to like sporting events with like some like best friends, so
yeah.
that's been. But speaking of sporting events, I wanted to transition to the fantasy football aspect. A big change happened. um Larry's now in our league. I'm very excited for him to be in our league, and you and I discussed this off camera, over text, but we could bring it. I don't know if Larry's really ready for what this league has in store for him. I don't know if he has that knowledge, that acumen, that ability to gauge, because this is the fourth rendition of our league. And I think we can tell tendencies between how we like to trade, how we like to approach the game, how we like to draft. And Larry doesn't have that experience. So I don't know if he's ready yet, but we'll see. I'm excited that he's in the league though, as someone we all know and goes to NYU. So we now have a full NYU league, which is pretty
Mhm.
cool. I'm excited to have him, but I don't think he's ready, in my personal opinion. That's just me.
I will just bring up a comment. I hope you're okay with me bringing up this comment.
Sure.
I can take credit for it if you don't want to take the blame of it. But
Oh no.
we finally got our first minor leaguer joining the league. Um,
Oh,
we got a man who is as raw. Um, and you're right. I don't think, you know, you go into a fantasy football league, he's been in the league with, another group for a while now. But let's just keep it honest, man. Like if you don't have your Adam Schefter notifications on, if you don't have your Ian Rappaport notifications on for waiver pickups and stuff like that and trades, like you're not you're not
you're not
really in
built
it
for
to win
this.
it. You're not really in
Right.
it to win it. That's all I gotta say. Like
Right.
I've prided myself on that. Um, even though it didn't get me a lot of success this year. And Antonio Brown pickup was made by me.
It
Um,
was.
so again, the season overall didn't go as well. I know I was voted to be likeliest to be champion this year or the
By
past
me.
year that
So
this
so
happened.
so the vote, that wasn't a league vote. That was me making a presentation and me believing you were gonna win. Like if it was there's people who out of me, there's people who I want to win, there's people who I think are gonna win. I thought you were gonna win this year. I don't know. I just had a hunch, and unfortunately it didn't come to fruition. You were the best team that didn't make the playoffs this year. I've been this previous season, 2 seasons ago, I was the best team that didn't make the playoffs. I know how you feel, but
Can we
you know,
just quickly talk about the way I didn't make the playoffs?
the
Like,
way you didn't make it. I mean, I when I get people on here, they want to, like you said. So I'll say, as you said over text, you said you have a lot of things you want to get off your chest, and that's very valid. I feel like a lot of people come on here, and it's almost like a fantasy football therapy session, except for Attiker who won. But other than that, a lot of people have had their grievances and are super, can be very upset. Do you want to talk about how you didn't make the playoffs? Of course. You know what I'm saying? Just don't go into a 30-minute, as Stephen A. Smith would say, soliloquy, because sometimes I've had people, I don't want to cut people off, but people go off, man. And you know what? I understand it because the way you didn't make the playoffs, like especially on that last week, was a little traumatizing. I'd be personally beyond hurt. But I mean, sometimes you also got to bring it back and reel it in and know that we're all going through it. Fantasy football is one of the toughest, arduous tasks out there. But of course, Yuri, why didn't you make the playoffs? Tell the world. Tell us.
so I don't remember the exact name of the official, and obviously I don't want to drop names. I don't want to, I'm not here to insult people. I'm just here to, obviously, as you said, air my grievances,
Hmm.
make people understand why fantasy football is truly traumatizing. Like it can be like I
It
think
is.
therapies and stuff like that are very necessary when it comes to fantasy football.
Hmm.
Um, but also having two eyeballs as a referee in the NFL is it's got to be on the top of the resume. Like it has to be. Like, look, I understand you miss calls. I understand, you know, the Saints Rams. That's different. That didn't have nobody had Traquan Smith on their fantasy football roster. Like that just wasn't a
And it
thing.
was the NFL playoffs. Fantasy football,
That's
was
okay.
a
All right,
record
that's
year.
true. That's
You
true.
know,
But look, like Tyreek Hill. So this was week 13,
13 had to
14.
be. No, 13 had to be because it was to make the playoffs.
Yeah. So man, I battled back from injuries and bench it, like players getting benched for absolutely no reason. Still have beef with Frank Reich for not understanding he has a top five running back on his team. Playing
Right.
mans like Naheem Hines and Jordan Wilkins, disgusting, absolutely despicable. I can't even put that into words. But Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes is a duo that is top two in the league, no doubt about it. And this man carried me throughout the season, and I was close to trading him after a certain dud week that he had. And you were actually one of the people that told me to not trade him. Um, and I appreciate that so much because I think the next week is when he put up 200 yards and two touchdowns in a quarter. So that was one of the greatest moments of my life. Um, but man, like that was such a rough. I know the touchdown against who was it? Man, it was
Was it Denver? I think.
it was like a primetime
Oh,
game, so it must have been a division game, maybe the Raiders, but something like that. This man catches a clear touchdown. They don't rule it a touchdown. And at first I'm like, okay, he probably dropped it, like, one of those closed drops. Um,
Mhm.
and no, they show a replay, and clearly there's a catch. There's no ball touching the ground, and Tyreek Hill, the camera pans to Tyreek Hill, and he's screaming at Andy Reid to throw a challenge flag, which, if proven successful, would have won me the week, would have would have given me a spot in the playoffs. Um, and that play just kept going. And if there's any record of it in the chat, I was not a happy boy. I was not. I knew at that moment that I was robbed, and I knew I had a vendetta, and I was gonna take it out on everybody next year, and that's what I plan on doing. Like, I might not take Tyreek Hill next year. I'm gonna run it back with a different team. Um, but I want Jays in week one. I want that to happen. I know this is a wild request. I want Jays in week one. If Jason's listening to this, beating you by 50 plus. I think this is the moment where I'm just gonna go off on everybody. Like
Okay.
Bobik, I know Bobik is, our savior, and he is, the man of this league. We all respect the man, but the way he treats players on his team is like no other. This man wouldn't trade Nick Chubb if I offered him Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelsey. Like, he just wouldn't. That's just who Bobik is. Chris is similar to that, but it's Chris, so we allow it. Chris was riddled with injuries, left, right, center, backwards, just everywhere, and somehow almost made it in with Melvin Gordon as his RB1. Like, if there's an MVP or I don't know what kind of award we got to give out, but Chris deserves all the awards. Um,
Thank you.
Matt Edelman, I look last or 2 years ago, finished dead last. Had no business. He was about to be demoted to the minor leagues. I think he got the minor leagues and major leagues. He proved us wrong this year. Went up top, almost made it in to the Super Bowl. Um, didn't happen, but I think he'll be on a good track. I was hearing a lot of trash talk from people from the likes of Honorog and Attiker. Um, I guess Attiker gets a little pass. Winning a Super Bowl is cool or whatever. Putting my name on the trophy as Yuri's father, um, that's personal. That's business that's gonna get dealt with really soon. And Honorog, like, man, twice in last place.
Yeah,
Come on,
I
come on.
want the record to know that he has in combined 13 and 40 fantasy games, so 3 seasons, because he's been in the league. He's been the foundation. He's the reason this podcast is recording. So I again don't want to be too rude. I love Honorog, but in 40 fantasy football weeks, a record of 13 and 27, by far the worst winning percentage in the league. And it's hard. I would take that personally too. First of all, Attica has never met the real Yuri's father. Big Victor, big,
That, that's
he's
another thing.
unbelievable.
I listened to the last podcast, obviously, and a lot of talk was being talked um, by people who, frankly, don't know the game of fantasy football. And throwing out personal attacks on Big Victor, like, that's not gonna fly.
Well, everyone knows. So like the running joke in the league circles, the running joke is that no one knows what your parents actually do for a living. Your lovely girlfriend, actually, I don't think she knows it. No one knows. We just let it slide. But unfortunately, Attica singled you out. And that's unfortunate because I don't believe that that's necessarily fair. But Attica has singled you out. Unfortunately, your name's on the trophy for the wrong reasons. He named his team Yuri's father. And I think that's a personal hex because he's never met Big Victor. I've had the privilege of meeting him, and at the end of the day, I think it's one of those things where he's gonna have a hex on him for a very long time because you can't
You
fuck with
know,
him like that.
like, he could think of it as like a joke, a running joke type of thing, but at the end of the day, like, whose name appears twice on the trophy? Like,
Because you did win the first year, the first rendition. We're about to go on our fourth year. You won the
Mother
first year.
Tucker, I just want the people to be known. Mother Tucker is, if there's a list of the greatest fantasy football teams ever assembled,
Mm-hmm.
like Mother Tucker, one. Everybody else too. Like
Everybody else too.
I I can name this team. This was a what 10-man league,
Yeah, this was a 10-man league and non PPR on
10
NFL.com.
man non
So
PPR with other NYU kids, which would mean
mhm.
they're smart kids. But
You would think so, yeah.
y'all let Patrick Mahomes slide around 10. Nobody else took a shot on the man, and here we are in
Did you
2021.
also take George Kittle in like the 12th
I
round or
was gonna
something
get to that,
crazy?
man. Like
I'm
it's
sorry.
just
Excuse me.
this whole draft was just spectacular. Not even the draft. Look, like you can be a good drafter,
Mhm.
but if you're not, you got to execute in all three levels of the game.
Okay.
The three levels is the draft. It's waiver pickups
Hmm.
and it's trades.
Okay.
Excellence was performed in 2018. Drafting superior, as you mentioned, George Kittle, Patrick Mahomes. I want to say Dalvin
You,
Cook.
you did draft Alex Collins. That was kind of a problem.
2018 Alex Collins was a beast. Man has not been in the league ever since, but he did his job. Um, we also need to talk about, as you know, as Adeker calls me Yuri's father. Let it be known, this man traded for Cooper Cup, gave me Joe Mixon. Obviously, Joe
Mhm.
Mixon's still a little off, but that year he was amazing. Seemed like a fair trade. We're a receiver for a running back. Let it be known the following week, Cooper Cup towards ACL, and Joe
Terrible.
Mixon continued to carry me into the Super Bowl. So we had Joe Mixon and Dalvin Cook on the same running back core. Um, and like George Kittle, the defense was solid. I don't remember the kicker, but okay, of course I remember the kicker, Justin Tucker,
I would
um,
hope so.
the greatest. And so that team, that league, that year was
Well, that's what
spectacular.
also
Let's
people.
go.
That's what also people clown you about is that you're a fluke. You were a one hit wonder because you haven't made the playoffs since, and now people are wondering were you just a blast from the past? People make fun of you because you hold on to this one glorious 2018. The inaugural season, but haven't made too much noise yet. Now I'm not one to talk. I'm not a champion. I don't know what it's like. I plan to do it this season. Um, but a lot of people think, you
You
peaked
know,
a little bit. And I don't agree. But that's just what people have said.
I 2021, the haters will be cheering for me in the front row.
I hope
Um,
so.
See? I hope so too, because I'm not a hater. I'm not a Yuri hater.
Me either.
look,
I sure hope not.
the 2021 draft, fantasy football draft. I'm back on the greatest of stuff. The sixth overall pick is, I think, the best spot to be in. I'm not going to say I intentionally tanked to get to a sixth pick or anything like that.
You definitely
Um,
did.
but I'm going to perform a master class, and I think we should do obviously a recap of the draft as soon as it's
Of
over.
course.
Whenever we do it, I want everybody to be on it. Like I think that could be a nice way of doing it. Could even live stream the draft. I'm just throwing out ideas,
I like that
just
idea.
letting stuff fly. I'm about to create Thanos. I'm gonna have all the Infinity Rings,
Okay.
Infinity Stones. It's gonna be different. You guys are not ready. 10 wins at least. Prediction.
At
Hot take.
least, okay.
Like it's come on now. Like it's
It,
just
it,
gonna
it's
happen.
First of all, it's amazing how intense this league is, and I love how intense it is because we're talking about fantasy football in February. The Super Bowl just happened. It was a great Super Bowl, in my opinion. I loved it. Um,
Yeah.
you
The
know,
weekend. The weekend. Yes.
the weekend that was one of the most memed things I've ever seen. Like, first of all, you couldn't make memes back when that whole Janet Jackson incident happened, but like,
True.
if you could have, I believe you would have. But that was
True.
ridiculous. Like, how many memes? Like, I don't know. It was just funny. I thought it was a really solid performance. It wasn't the best, in my opinion. Katy Perry's has always been the best for me. That's been my favorite
Thank
one.
you. I agree. I agree. I said
See?
that to him. He was like, Oh, well, when the game is good, it makes the halftime show better.
No.
Whole
No.
thing.
First of all, that game was great. That was a great game. But I mean, Katy Perry has a special place in my heart personally. But regardless, the weekend was good. I thought the Super Bowl was really, really fun.
Well,
I
I mean,
enjoyed it.
yeah. No, I think like,
I
it
love
was
Tom
fun.
Brady though. I
It was
love Tom
obviously a
Brady.
legendary type of thing, Patrick Mahomes against Tom Brady. Like you can't go wrong with that. Um, I just wanted to be known the weekend actually didn't he had to spend all of his money. Well, not all of his money, but he had to the whole Super Bowl was paid for by him. The NFL did not give him any money for that, as they usually do. So that was $7 million over the weekend on money to create that. And I think, given the pandemic, I know some people were talking about sound mixing and all that didn't really work out, but hey, the only man to ever do it in a pandemic, and I think it was really good. Again, the music, a lot of throwbacks, a lot of different things, but
Well, he's one of your
uh,
favorite artists, right? If I'm not
he,
mistaken.
he's definitely become it. Obviously, Starboy and all that stuff in the past was,
Yeah.
he was kind of, he was competing with a lot of different. I'm not saying Drake is falling off. I know we got a big Drake fan right here.
Yeah, I can't say
But
this.
like he hasn't released a lot of stuff recently, and that was probably during his peak was like 2014, 2013 for
Mhm.
Drake. So he was obviously kind of in the shadows a little bit for a while, and Justin Bieber and all that. But yeah, I think he stood the test of time, and he's definitely found his way to rejuvenate himself, and he has this whole new look, and all of his appearances are like they're planned, and they're all like I think that's really cool how he's rejuvenated himself.
So I know how much of a big Post Malone fan you are. Do you rank higher The Weeknd or Post Malone for you personally? Not who's a more
Um,
talented artist, but for you, are you listening to more The Weeknd or Post Malone nowadays? Because I've always known you for one of the biggest Post Malone fans. I know, and I like Post Malone, by the way. I like him a lot.
nowadays, okay, so obviously Post Malone came out with this last album, Hollywood Bleeding, in 2020. So it's been a little while. It's been a little while since the last stuff dropped, and it's been. But he's gonna hold a special place in my heart. I just want again like the weekend is great, and I think his stuff is fantastic right now. Like he's got a lot of themes going on and a lot of different like topics that he's like going over with Hollywood and all that. The AMAs. Um, but Post Malone, I'm not trying to flex, but man, like who knows Post Malone, the Minecraft YouTuber? Um, you see, you're laughing, but back in like 2012, 2011, when I was 11 or 12 years old, I would always watch. I feel like a lot of people did this, watching Minecraft Let's Plays
Okay.
while still in middle school, high school. And there was a group of YouTubers that was doing it for a while. And one of them was a man named Austin Post. He was one of the content creators back then, and he was doing it with his friends. And slowly but surely, he started like transitioning towards music, and not like rap or not like anything like that. It was like classical stuff and just like just regular music. And I remember him, and I was just like, yeah, it's a cool guy right there. And then he disappeared for about a year.
Right.
Came back, released White Iverson, um, and it was when I saw him, I was just like, wait, this has to be the same man, but he's looked completely different. Like I wish I could show you a picture of what he looked like before and what he looked like now, and I was just like, that's the same guy. And ever since, like,
Okay, I get it.
he got
I
me,
actually
like,
didn't know this about you. I didn't
I'm
know
telling,
this.
like, not, yeah. And there's a lot of like funny videos of him before, the whole Post Malone thing.
Mhm.
But I think even like with the fame, I don't think it's really changed him to the point where like he's gotten to. He's mainstream. Obviously, he's on top of a lot of people's lists.
Mhm.
But I don't think it's like carried him out of who he really is. He's still.
Well, you know where he lives.
I do.
Of
Um,
course. A lot of people are living in Utah nowadays.
yeah, he was
People
born
like it.
in he was born in Texas, moved to California, to do
Didn't he
that.
live in Syracuse at one point? I think he lived in Syracuse, New York at one point.
That was later on. I think it was before college, but after he started doing his
But
YouTube stuff. So
it makes sense. So you like him so much because you knew him, or at least knew of
or
him before anything. So
yeah,
I think, well, that's what a lot of people. I think one of the biggest attachments people, like one of the big reasons people attach to an artist is because, oh, I knew him before he got this big and everyone loved him. So that makes sense. You knew of him as Austin Post, the Minecraft YouTuber. I did not know that you knew that much about Post Malone. That's a little
yeah.
impressive. I never got into Minecraft. Now that I think about it, I was always like pretty manila when it came to my game choices. I was either playing sports games or like Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead Redemption. Like I wish I played more cool games like Skyrim or like God of War, or I played
Oh
a little
yeah,
bit of Assassin's Creed, but like I was pretty manila with my
yeah.
games. I was pretty
The
basic.
thing for me is I've literally like what you just said. I did the opposite. So I started off
Okay.
the first couple of games that I got on my like PS3 and stuff like that were like Assassin's Creed and Red Dead 1 and all these types of things. And then
Mhm.
honestly, like I'm on it like right now I play sports games and I play
Yeah.
like I guess more mainstream stuff.
Yeah.
Um but like
Wait, I just want to interject. Do you know about
Mhm.
his YouTube channel?
Yuri's YouTube channel? I don't. We'll
He was
promote
a
it on here.
Minecraft YouTuber when he was, how old are you? Like 11 or 12?
so later. So
Oh my
See,
God, you have to watch the videos. They're so funny.
Kira, this is why you're here. Like you just dropped such a. Do you know how the second this drops, I'm just like it doesn't matter what else is said. I'm just be like, guys, go to timestamp like whatever time this is. I don't know how long we've even been talking. I'll have to go through. I'll have to rewatch this whole thing and chop it and figure it out. I'm just gonna be like, boys, go to timestamp right here. You're gonna find a
Yes,
beauty, and
look
then
up
you. Okay, look up what.
Archangel on YouTube.
That's why. That's your gamer tag. Oh my god, everything makes sense.
Archangel. It's so good.
Wait, how do you spell that? Just how do you spell that? Just so we can figure it out.
Just ARK Angel, right?
Okay.
Is that it? I think that's it. It's gonna be a little bit hard to find, but I swear you're gonna click on one of the videos. You can tell it's
I'm gonna
him.
subscribe. This Wildcat Defense YouTube channel is gonna subscribe to that channel.
When was the last
drop it
video
in the
he posted
description.
was in
It was
You can drop it in the
sophomore,
description.
sophomore
I'm
year
crying.
of high school that I dropped my last ever video.
So there's your little nugget of information. It's gold. It's
Is there
gold.
any more? Now that I mean, this is the beautiful asset of having you know Kira on here. Is there any other nugget of information that because here's the thing. Here's the thing. I clown everyone. I'm out of our league of like 12 people. I would say like I'm closer to Yuri than most. Like a lot of people don't know a lot about Yuri. Like people like people know he's quiet. He's Russian. No, I'm kidding. He's quiet. Like, is there any other nugget of information that I didn't even know that? Like I didn't even know that, which is amazing.
That's
So do you think
crazy.
there's any other nugget of information that we can have? You know, obviously keep it
I
appropriate.
don't know. I mean, like, obviously I know him very well, clearly, but that was something I thought was common knowledge. Like I
That is
thought
not
all of his
common
friends
knowledge.
knew that
No
he
one
had a
knew
YouTube
that.
channel.
Well,
He
we
was a
were
vlogger for a little while. He vlogged his like vacations he went on with his family.
well, he should be. I've told him. Like
Right?
Yuri's a world traveler. I've told him repeatedly, you've been everywhere and you live in New York and you're an NYU student. Like I've been telling Yuri to vlog his life for the longest time. He won't listen to me. Maybe he'll listen to you, but I've been
He's
telling
too
Yuri for
shy
show.
to. I could see like
Yuri
the
doesn't like the
appeal
face
of his
cam.
life, but he's just too shy.
I also like I don't know. I feel like single person vlogs don't really capture it in a way. You know, I feel like when you're going places, you want to have like everybody involved, and you know, I don't want to like be filming my parents and like that kind of stuff with limited English knowledge.
Yeah, that's fair. I get
So I
that.
think
So the easy solution is just take everybody a boys trip to Vegas. Easy. Like that's the solution to all this. Just bring everyone, take the league to Vegas. Half the league was in Vegas just recently. Um and that's what we do. So easy solution. But no, I've always thought you should have been like a vlogger or like made a blog. Maybe not even because if you don't like the face cam thing, then that's fine. But like, I don't know. I feel like you've seen so much of the world. You've seen more than anyone I know. Like have you
yeah.
been have you been to Africa? I know you've been to Asia. Have you been to every continent? I don't want to count Antarctica.
I have not been to Africa. No.
Right.
We counted how many countries he's been to. It's 108 or 111.
The second one.
111. Yeah, we went through one day and just looked at like a list of countries, and we just counted all the ones.
And if you just take out, there's a lot of countries. There's what I think the UN, or like in total, we won't count North Korea. So basically, the UN countries, there's 208, 200, and then just take out Africa for a second. Like that, Yuri, that's 170, 180, and you've been to like 100. Like that's amazing. Like you really should. You know more about the world than almost anyone you know more about the world than anyone I know. And I feel like you have a lot you have special knowledge. I feel like you should just share it with us in some form or fashion, whether you make your own podcast, make a blog, make a vlog, make some, I don't know. It's hard to travel now. We in a panoramic, that's tough.
Yeah.
But I definitely recommend you do
I
it.
definitely see like a recap of, I'd have to like probably sort out by regions. But like type of thing where I still have like footage of places, and if it was very little or whatever, but like I've been interested in travel and cultures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that I think could help me out, just to share the knowledge. I guess I'm not trying to like
no, not just man,
yeah.
like people get to know you as they get to, and it's hard to get to know you. So I feel like it'd be an easy way, because you're definitely not an open book, So
That's true.
I don't know. It's just Kira brought up a great point. Like I just something to some capacity, and
Gotcha.
if I can help, I can. Or if anyone, what I'm saying, like I would. It's cool. You've seen a lot of the world, and I haven't. I've been to Canada, Italy, and Israel. Those are the 3 countries I've been to. In Canada, I barely remember. I was like 6. So yeah, bro. Something like that would be pretty cool. And I guess on that, listen, I think we've talked I have 2. You're on the East Coast. So just so everyone knows, is Arizona time. So now I'm officially calling it Arizona time, because Arizona does not abide by daylight savings. So when daylight savings comes in March, Arizona switches between Pacific time and Mountain time, if you did not know that. So Arizona officially is Arizona time. So I have 2:30 Arizona time. I have no idea how long this has been, but it's funny because we haven't seen each other in person in what's basically a year. I do this with all my friends now. I can talk to my friends for hours because no one's in Arizona. Everyone's either in New York, some are in LA, some, are doing the virtual thing. But Yuri, it's been an absolute pleasure. And Kira, having you as well has been an absolute pleasure. So thank you for being. I want to give you any last words you want to say. If there's anyone else you want to call out, anyone you want to congratulate, anyone you want to thank, I like to give that to anybody. If you want to just, leave on something, by all means.
Congratulations to Attica, as hard as it was to
Of course.
Yeah, that's just, we just gotta admit it. Had a good year. Won't do it next year, but everybody can have their shine. I'll be back for what's mine.
For somebody who's so shy, I've never met anybody more cocky than you.
Because I'll tell you why. And the reason I love Yury in this league, and why Yury is one of my just very good friends, is because once Yuri's in his element, once Yury is comfortable, and that's why I'm also friends with him, because I see a lot of that in myself. Like I'm not just jump in a circle of people I haven't met and be like, yo, what's up? What's good? Who are you? I'm not like, who are you? I'm like, who are you? Like, who is this? You know what I'm saying? So I see a lot of myself in Yury from that perspective. Like once you're in that element, oh, you are outgoing, you're this, you're that. So I definitely see it 100%. But yeah, okay. Sorry to cut you off. But yeah, so congrats to Attica, but it won't happen again. Anything else that you'd like to, sound off on?
Nah, man, we'll again, we'll hopefully see each other in May. I think that's gonna be a great time. I don't know however many people show up. I think that's definitely something we're gonna we have an in-person podcast or whatever it takes. But we'll definitely get back together. Pandemic, it's over a year, but we've made it this far, and hopefully everybody stays healthy and everybody,
Mhm.
stays happy and, like just, this is a fantasy football league. We started a podcast talking about the most random of things, but fantasy football is just one aspect of our lives. We still have families and, people to take care of and, you know, we just gotta stay together. And I think obviously fantasy football has helped us. It's created friendships that are gonna last a lifetime. I don't know how long this league goes. I want to get to Super Bowl 100.
Okay.
But like, it's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to get back on it next year. After this podcast is over, obviously I'll get back to my mock drafts and I'll get back to my all my preparation.
Right.
But we'll see where it goes.
You're definitely one that studies. I think when I was living with Blake started studying for the draft April. So when Blake sees this, obviously his podcast, I'm gonna try to not be sometimes, I take too long with editing or trying to put stuff out. Hopefully I'll get this out quick. So if Blake sees this, Blake, you gotta be studying earlier in April because you're already studying. I think people who study the least are Chris, Blake, or not Blake, sorry,
Well,
Bavik.
I hope Anurag.
Bavik.
I hope
Honorog needs to start studying a little bit more.
That's, that's despicable
Yeah.
stuff. Like Le'Veon Bell, I think for back-to-back years of Le'Veon Bell. Like,
No, 3 years. He's had them all 3 years. Every year he's had Le'Veon. So, I think we'll wrap it up on that. I'll send off real quick. Honorog, if you're the last person we mentioned, thank you so much for accelerating this and making this happen, man. I appreciate you a lot. Honor, I appreciate everyone in the league. Larry, congratulations for being in the league. Happy to have you. And everyone stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane, because it's hard to do those. It's hard to, stay like that nowadays. So guys,
yes,
thank
sir.
you so much for listening. Yuri, thank you so much for being on here.
Of course,
Kira,
man.
thank you so much for being on here. And
You're
on that,
welcome.
I'll see you guys on the next one.
All right.